And our final presenter for the symposium for today, we're talking about AI and the media. AI and the media, mis and disinformation and deep fakes. That's the final symposium for today. AI and the media, mis and disinformation and deep fakes. And it would like to be introduced as simply as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Publisher Technology Times, Badaru. A round of applause for him, please. Doing amazing things with Technology Times. Absolutely honored to have your presence today, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I was told I have just 7 minutes, so I will take the lessons and the learning from what we were taught back in journalism school. They say you should always keep it short and simple. My name is Badaru. So why am I here? I don't know AI, I don't know anything about technology, but every single day I use technology and I apply it in the course of my journalism work. And I stand before you today to simply just tell you that when you get technology into the wrong hand and it is used for disinformation, we need to set those clear boundary lines between misinformation and disinformation. In the case of misinformation, I think the clear identifier will be that MIS, which is false information that was mistakenly shared without any intention to mislead. However, it's causing disinformation is still misleading information shared with the deliberate intention to mislead. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me sober you up today by letting you know that when technology gets into the wrong hand and is used with the intention of disinformation, people die. It may be difficult for you to understand how you think I wanted to be sensational. It's not my intention to be sensational. I grew from good old traditional journalism. I don't know how many of you remember those good old days of NTA news when they tell you NTA network news. When it's time for network news, the entire family gathers because that's one of the very few media outlets in Nigeria that you get broadcast into millions of homes across the country back then. I don't know how many of you remember the numbers that NTA used to tout those days. NTA will tell you it gets into 30 million Nigerian homes. Have you ever bothered to sit back today and look at the number of mobile phone lines that we have in the hands of Nigerians? Over 200 million mobile phone lines, over 190 million internet subscribers across the country. So we live in a world, a borderless world, where the channel and capability and capacity to share information to millions is no longer regulated the way we had it. Let me give you a clear world example of a typical day of a Nigerian journalist back in the 90s when I started with one of the biggest newspapers in Nigeria, This Day newspaper. I was a pioneer infotech editor for This Day newspaper, and on a typical day you go out to cover your stories. I'm watching the countdown, less than 3 minutes to go. But on a typical day, when you get back into the newsroom, there will be a panel of editors that would go through your news as a reporter. They will scan through it for grammar, but more importantly, for libel. Because once that gets out into the public domain, the responsibility is now on the publishing house to be dragged to the Federal High Court to say that you slandered or you libeled my name. But on this particular evening, one of the, we call them anywhere out of Lagos, we call them outstation. One of the outstation reporters filed a report. It was at about an uprising in one of the I won't name the state, but one of the states in Nigeria, specifically a northern state. So on that evening, of course, it was great news because there were lots of killings. There was so much that went down on that day. Now, think about it. I want you to all let this sink in. In those days, there was no internet, there was no email. So one of the very few ways that you got to know about what happened yesterday was going to be the newspapers of tomorrow or the NTA news of network news at 9. I'm sure you all agree with me. That was how regulated information exchange and dissemination was back then. I have less than a minute. I'll quickly go through that story. So the story went that the editors looked at that particular scenario and realized that this attack that was somewhat religious in nature had happened in that part of Nigeria. And an editors' meeting was held over that story. And a decision was to be taken whether to run that story for the next day or not to run that story. And a particular section of the editors rose with the voice of reason that we know what Nigeria is. May I appeal to the conveners to please grant me 3 more minutes so that I can finish this very interesting story. So, a decision was taken and the voice of reason arose that if this story goes out tomorrow, it will sell our newspapers. We will record an upsurge in sales tomorrow. However, something would happen. There will be a reprisal attack in the southwest once they read that their fellow brothers and sisters have been killed in in another part of the country. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the editors of this day may not be here today, but I think they deserve a resounding round of applause because they took over the decision never to publish that story because realizing that there will be a reprisal attack. They put money over and above, they put aside consideration of economic gain and thought about the continued corporate existence of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That's what we don't have today. In the comfort of our homes, in the comfort of our offices or anywhere where you have this device, you can create just exactly what you saw that Roger showed us this morning. With the appropriate prompt, you can create a picture or generate an image of New York police tying down the former president of the United States of America. And if you get more creative or more imaginative, you can wear him an orange suit and put him in New York prison. Ladies and gentlemen, because I don't have time, I will say today that technology in the wrong hand can be very, very lethal. AI, like we have seen today, in its gradual evolution, can even be more lethal in the wrong hands. However, as a journalist, I've come to enjoy and adore technology, because technology today has changed the state of play. If you go back the era I was talking about, if we're having like this event, you will see a large thing out there that they call NTA van. It's about the quarter size of that all over there, and that's all you needed to live stream an event. Today is being done seamlessly with a few devices and mixers out there, thanks to miniaturization of technology. So AI has changed everything. So what will be my prescription? My prescription will be very simple, and I'm glad that I listened to Roger speak a few moments ago as to how they have been able to evolve that never to be able to generate a picture or an image of a living human being or any human being that has existed, and be able to use that to manipulate any image. And that gives me a measure of assurance that the industry, the tech industry, can adopt the self-regulatory model rather than us resorting or expecting or waiting for government regulators to hammer in and begin to regulate, first of all, a technology that is in infancy in our country and that can do more in radically transforming healthcare, agriculture, health, education, employment generation, and some other pressing national challenges and social challenges and economic challenges where they're most needed. So I was also very, 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 very encouraged when I listened to the chairman House Committee on ICT reassure us that rather than embracing regulation to begin to undermine technology, they would rather embrace regulation to begin to explore opportunities and avenues for encouraging it and complementing it in creating jobs, in creating economic growth, and unlocking the enormous opportunities and possibilities that exist in our country. However, let us always walk away with that sobering thought that technology, AI or any other form of technology in the wrong hand can lead to cataclysmic effect and people can die, like I've told you earlier. I thank you very much for the short time. Thank you very much.
Please, a round of applause. Thank you so much, sir.
Oh, sorry, by the way, I didn't get introduced. I'm a 1994 graduate of Mass Comm Department, University of Lagos, because I had someone come here earlier and talk about Great Ife in Lagos. Great Akokites.
I will not see anything. Thank you so much, sir, for that. I mean, really heartfelt. It's still part of the panel session, so you get to hear from him some more as we have the final panel session for today.